good evening, and welcome to a special edition of the Why Do Boys Make podcast. My name is Corby, and on this episode, I will be your host. We begin with a brief recap. On our last episode, I did some investigative journalism to dig into what we here at the podcast call the double life of Adam Belarjan. If you don't recall, we investigated the phenomenon of Adams 1 and 2 chiming in on the podcast comments. My confusion got so intense, I was able to come to a conclusion if there were in fact separate people or if Adam had accidentally commented on an alternative account. So, I sent an invitation to Adam 1 to explain himself. What you are about to hear is an interview with Adam 1 we recorded via an audio call. Please enjoy. Alright folks, we are here live with Adam 1. Adam 1, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I feel amazing.
That's great to hear. Now I know you're very busy and you don't have a lot of time, so let's just jump right into it. I thought we would start right away and go into the rapid fire movie opinions. I'm going to give you a name of a movie or a director, and you just give me yes or no. Are you ready?
Yes.
Alright, let's begin. Clerks.
Yes.
Movie 43.
Oh, big yes.
Stalker.
Nah.
Hoop Dreams.
Nah.
Spring Breakers.
Absolutely not.
Leon the Professional.
Oh, big yes.
The Before Trilogy.
Absolutely not.
David Lynch.
Absolutely not.
And finally, Sausage Party.
Oh, big yes.
Is Marvel Eternals your most anticipated movie of the year?
Yes.
You know, while we're on the subject of movies, here's a question that only the real Adam would know. As a movie buff, can you describe the premise of Ready Player One?
Like some sort of lifestyle game that transcends sport. If we get to a point as a society where you no longer have to necessarily live your life, and instead you can wake up in the morning, strap on a VR headset, and go to life, and just live a simulated existence until at the end of the day you take off the headset and you just lay down in bed and go to sleep. I've never written anything so substantial.
Were you a fan of Ready Player One?
Yes.
My next question, Adam 1, is what are you doing this weekend?
I'm going to Disney World.
Do you want to come over and watch Red Zone on Sunday?
I'm going to Disney World.
Oh, how about we plan for the week after that?
No, I'm going to Disney World.
Sounds like you're really big into Disney Corporation. Is that correct?
Now that, yes.
What is it about their media that you enjoy the most?
Very silly.
Were you in the Washington, D.C. area on January 6, 2021?
Maybe.
Do you have anything to say to the other Adam that may be listening?
No, I don't. Very silly.
Did you enjoy this interview?
No.
Do you have anything you'd like to say for yourself?
No.
Thank you once again, Adam, for taking the time out of your day to speak with me.
No.
Once again, I'd like to thank Adam for stopping by. So, in the end, did we learn anything? I think we did. I think we learned that Adam 1 is in fact not our friend. No, Adam 2 is our true friend. I think we can all agree that our friend Adam has the three eyes that which Kurt Angle made so famous. Intensity. Adam never takes no for an answer. He will send not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8, not 9, but 10 trades in the span of 15 minutes. Fucking stop! Integrity. Adam sends trades that are courteous and make a lot of sense for both sides. He would never send a trade like Jordan Love for Tom Brady. Preposterous. Intelligence. Adam is smart. Adam is always wheeling and dealing and looking for the next rookie season OBJ. Speaking of OBJ, how's that going? But most of all, Adam is kind. He's such a joy to draft with. He would never, ever scream and yell about how he's getting all the cheap good players while he's drafting Myles Gaskin. I think that we can agree after the interview we just listened to that Adam 1 is certainly not our friend Adam. So cheers to Adam 2, our kind, intelligent, caring friend. And with that, we end this installment of the investigative journalism segment. Present tense, Corby, back to you. Thank you very much for that on-the-field reporting, Corby. We are now back in the studio, recording on Wednesday, October 20th. That's right, folks. I said we. You know I've got my co-host with me, current number 1 seed team in the league, Sir Seltz himself. Fitzy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine, Corby. It's good to be here at the top.
And of course, we can mean more than two. Folks, I am honored to introduce the next guest on the podcast. You may know him as the dude in high school who shaved half his face, or that guy who wore a backpack at graduation. But to me, he's Colin Swords. Colin, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
Hello, everybody. I'm good. I hope everyone's doing good.
It's very great to hear your voice. I want to get this started right now. So let's start with the questions. Of course, the number one question on everybody's mind. Colin, why do boys play games?
Well, I think Herm Edwards said it best, right? You play to win the game. That's why the boys play games. That's what I've always believed. It's evolutionary, right? It's a gene within man. We've evolved with it. There's an inherent competitive drive within us all, and that's why sport exists. That's why So that's why boys play games. It's a little dated, really, honestly, this term, why do boys play games? I like to be more inclusive, so it really should be why do people play games? Or why stop there? Why do sentient entities play games? So that's my take on it, to win. Thank you.
And why even stop at just games? Why do sentient beings do anything at all, right? Like we should be more inclusive. That's what we're all about here. Not just in this league, not just on this podcast, but as people, really.
Yeah, so maybe just why.
Why?
That should be the new league, or just the new saying should just be why, or just why do sentient beings, and just stop.
Why do?
Why do? That's great.
Well,
yes, exactly.
Why do?
Colin, you just heard a stunning piece of investigative journalism from my colleague Corby, and my understanding is that you maintain an intimate relationship with Bill the Grill Stillwell. What do you think Mr. Stillwell would have to say about the piece you just heard?
I don't really want to talk for anyone, so just give me 1 second, okay? I'll be right back. Hey, Bill! What's up? What's going on over here?
Oh
What's
my
up?
God. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill the Grill Stillwell has arrived.
Listen up. I know a thing or two about investigative journalism. This is a crack job. I had to fly all the way to Luthaniistan to talk to Malik. I went straight to the source. I say meet him at Disney World. Confront him, and then you'll see what is what. Bill, out. Bill? Bill? Wow, you seemed really upset and fired up.
Yeah, he was not having a good time.
You hate to see him go, but you love to see him walk away.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you very much, Bill. Next, I want to do a quick game of overrated, underrated. Fitzy, why don't you start?
Colin, the way we play this game is just the way we played with Brandy. We're going to ask you about a thing or a place or basically anything at all, and you're going to tell us if you think it is underrated or overrated. You can give a little flair and say why if you'd like. So I'm going to start with McRae's Farm.
That's a tough one. I guess I thought I'd come in here and I'd start with the easy ones and get tougher. McRae's Farm, I think, is actually... I go to McRae's all the time, and I'm going to say it's overrated, honestly. And I say that because I go there, and there's a lot of times I go there and there's 50 people. I go there, it's a fun little thing, but there's always field trips and stuff, and that's cool. But if I was a kid going on a field trip to McRae's, I'd be there's probably 3 places like McRae's within a 10-mile area when you could be going on a field trip to see Jimmy Neutron at West Springfield Cinemas or something. So, what was the question? McRae's is overrated, and the food's not that good. The Outlook is better, and Atkins is better. They have the bake, they're fine. The vanilla cupcakes are top notch. A lot of the stuff isn't that good.
Have you not gone through with the mini golf hot dog
cup
of milk deal?
Yeah, I was about to say it's their saving grace. It's a great deal that I haven't done, but it's objectively an amazing deal. But yeah, I go there with my child, my little baby, and she is not ready to golf. She would probably eat the ball and choke, and oxygen's important to her and to me. So, I'm going to say overrated slightly. It's a great place, though. I still go there all the time.
Yeah, yeah. Oxygen generally important for sentient beings. So underrated for sure.
Oxygen, underrated.
Next question, we've got pass catching running backs.
Oh, whew. Whoa. You know, I was thinking about this today. I was thinking about Derrick Henry and how I've never owned him, and I never will, and I don't regret it. He's an objectively like the best. He's number one in fantasy right now, and I don't regret not drafting him. I'm never gonna have him, and I don't want him, which doesn't make any sense. There's like some dissonance there. Some like obviously I recognize that it doesn't make sense, but pass catching running backs, they get the blood rushing straight, to the dangus. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't say no. So when you look at my team and you see, DeAndre Swift, Austin Eckler, McCaffrey, J.D. McKissick,
Oh.
the Mount
Oh my
Rushmore,
God.
really, of modern pass-catching running backs. Nothing excites me more than to see that team. I just load up my fantasy and just look at that, and, it's so. What?
I would say that your running back room really does look like a real true to life Mount Rushless.
Damn, I should have saw that one. That's good. That should be my new team name, Mount Rushless.
Mount Rushless.
I
There we
love
go.
it. That's great.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first.
That's awesome. Damn.
That's really good.
Yeah, my team, McCaffrey's out right now, so it's a little deficient, but when he gets back, I think the pass catching running back quadfecta is going to be in full swing. So underrated pass catching running backs. I don't like that you asked me that because I don't want the rest of the league to catch on and catch on. How great.
Hey.
So underrated.
Oh,
Love pass catching running
Can't
backs.
be stopped.
I refuse to own someone, or I hate to own someone who's not. So
Yeah, fair enough. So this next one is a little bit of a selfish question. I just got a no from the guy who would know. Underrated, overrated. Huggies brand diapers.
I'm going to do a bit of a controversial take. It might be controversial. I don't think it really that is. I think big box diaper brands are mostly irrelevant because they're all identical today, maybe by necessity. I don't know if they're all owned by the same company. I don't know a lot about it. Honestly, Kim buys the diapers. She makes a lot more money than me. Yeah, they're mostly the same. They all have that. I don't know if you guys know a lot about diapers. They got this like line on them it's like a litmus test or whatever, where if it gets wet, it turns blue, and if it's dry, it's yellow. And they all have it. Every diaper brand that I've seen has it. I might be wrong. I don't know a lot about diapers. I change them, but I don't buy them. I don't look at the brand, so I don't know what they are. Sometimes they got Elmo. Sometimes they got Big Bird. Sometimes they got Jerry Lewis. I don't know. It's just you never know who's going to be on that diaper.
So, overrated, underrated.
Properly rated. Wait, what did I answer? The answer is properly rated. They're fine. I don't have any opinion really. The diapers. I've never said, "Oh, this is a crappy diaper." Oh well,
Hey.
I've said this is a crappy diaper, but I've never said this diaper is bad. No, I've said a crappy diaper when it's got poop in it. Oh, stinky.
I know you spent a lot of time on YouTube. This one is very close to my heart. Smoker the Joker.
Oh man. A true juggalo, if there ever was one. Sipping the Faygo, questioning the validity of magnets and stuff. He is underrated. He's mostly forgotten now. It pains me to think that how irrelevant he is today, and I don't know if he's still out there making videos or if he's a functioning member of society. He may well be. He might not want those videos to be seen, and I respect that. I think 10 years from now, if not less, he's going to be back in the game. He's underrated, a great artist. I'm ready for him to be on Spotify. I've been looking for him on SoundCloud. He might be going under a different name. Him and his brother Mike, the Hatchet. I want to catch it. All right. Underrated.
Underrated. I have to be honest. I had to Google who Smoker the Joker is, and I couldn't find an answer.
Oh,
my God.
So you might be right that he's underrated by the Google search algorithm at the very least.
You might not find him because he's trapped in a box.
Getting buried alive. He's been down there for 4 days. He says in the song.
He's running out of oxygen. It is underrated. All right.
Okay.
He's 6 feet underrated. So next up, another insider question here, Colin. I'm looking for whether you think it's underrated or overrated. Little Caesars plain cheese pizza.
I would say overrated. For me, if this is a subjective opinion, I would never in my life order a just cheese pizza from Little Caesars because if you're looking for value, why would you get less when the pepperoni's the same price? Why would you get less? When I go to Little Caesars, my mind is, okay, I want the most calories per cent, and you're losing out on calories. I'm not thinking of, ooh, I want a yummy pizza. I like Little Caesars, it's fine. But if you're just getting, I see no rationale unless you're a vegetarian, unless you have like an actual excuse, then I would say overrated.
Couldn't agree more there, Colin. I go to Little Caesars to survive, and I'm glad we're of the same mind there.
While we're on the subject of food, bread, cheese, and bread sandwiches.
Before I answer this, I want to get what's your guys' thoughts? Because is it weird? I don't.
I think, like you just said, it's the difference between objective and subjective. So objectively, it's just a grilled cheese that nobody has grilled yet. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that, but subjectively, I think you'd have to be a psychopath to think it's a good idea. Corby, your thoughts?
See, my answer here is I think that it's fine because I think it depends on the type of bread and the type of cheese, right? If you have like some nice artisan bread and some nice like Gouda or something, like it's not that far fetched. The only thing is that some people like want like a little bit of mustard or something to go with that cheese, and that's not bread, cheese, and bread, you know, at that point, it's not really that. So
The only yellow I want is the yellow version of the Kraft American single. Colin, I imagine that you're of the same mind on that opinion.
No, I'm purely influenced by what I had growing up, which was always sliced big wide Land O'Lakes cheese usually. So I never had Kraft singles, and now I think that's like repulsive because that's something I feel like you have to because it. I mean, I don't know. It just looks cheap. It tastes it looks plasticky kind of, and maybe it's not. But this question is about bread, cheese, bread sandwiches. I was talking specifically about Kraft singles there. What you have to understand is that when you grow up in a lower middle class household, meat is really expensive. So I didn't always have a lot of meat. We got by fine, but there wasn't always meat in the fridge. There was cheese and there was bread, and I wasn't old enough to use a stove. I didn't use a stove, I think, until I moved out on my own. So there was just never an option. So then it just became a thing, and I don't think it's that weird. I haven't eaten one in years now. Now I do make grilled cheese all the time, but I would say underrated, not weird. Normalize bread, cheese, bread sandwiches. Hashtag.
I just want to point out one little bit of dichotomy there that stands out to me. On the one hand, lower middle class family. I would never disparage a family for not having meat in the fridge. My parents talk about how they can't eat bologna anymore because they were raised on it, right? Because it was the cheapest one. But at the same time, you look down your nose at Kraft American singles.
I know. I knew
and
you were
you're praising Land O'Lakes American cheese product. If you've ever looked at the label, it's not even technically cheese, Colin.
Is margarine not technically butter? What is? I mean, it's FDA approved. That's all I care about.
Lines in the sand drawn by the French bourgeoisie, if you ask me.
I couldn't agree more. I don't know what I'm agreeing to, but I couldn't agree more.
Speaking of agreeing more, I'd like to see if you agree on this one. We're looking for underrated, overrated. Mike Bekanowitz's fantasy football team in 2021.
That's a great question, and I'm ready for a hot take. Mike's team is not the worst in the league. I strongly believe that. So I'm going to say underrated. He's had some terrible luck. I think he's got plenty of wins left in him, and I'm not saying that because Mike's a good friend of mine, and he is. I'm saying that I will be cruel. I've ranked Mike last. I've probably ranked everyone in this room last, including myself at some point. I'd say underrated. I don't think his team is that bad. I think he's had terrible luck. He didn't do a great job constructing it, but, I mean, he's got some great players that he should trade to me, so this is not in my own self-interest. No, I'm joking. I'm half joking. I mean, he's got a good team. Not a good team. It's not the worst. Underrated team, Mike.
We'll talk later in the Bets of the Week segment about that one.
Oh, well, I don't want to show my hand, but we'll talk about it in Power Rankings.
Oh, okay. And finally, the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Definitely overrated at this point. I had a great time until Endgame was awesome. You know, if you saw that in theaters, that was, especially nowadays with COVID and stuff, that was a singular experience. You know, it's almost like when Game of Thrones was on, where everyone was watching everything. And I guess people still watch all those, but I feel like now it's getting to that point where they're like, I mean, they're fine. I saw the Shang-Chi. I saw that. That was fun. Marvel Cinematic Universe, they're never going to stop, right? They're never going to stop. So I think it was good if they ended it endgame like, but at this point, I would say overrated. They're gonna cash that cow, and right now the content might still be good. I don't think they can sustain it. I think the interest is too high. That's why it's overrated. I think too many people are into it too much. I think it's fine. I don't look down. I'm not like Martin Scorsese or whatever. Whoever was looking down on those, right? He was saying, "Oh, it's not film. It's fine," but they're fun little flicks. Nothing more for me. I never seen no Charlie Kaufman MCU movie.
Now, I'm not the host this week, but I can't help but realize that I think we've been talking to Colin for about 20 minutes at this point, and we haven't started any of our normal segments. So I'm going to go rapid fire here with the next couple here, Colin. Looking for favorite feature in a video game. For example, in Halo 3, you might say something as technical as, I like the fact that there are balanced starting positions and asymmetrical and interesting maps. Or you might simply say, the file share system. So we're looking for your favorite feature in the following video games. I'm going to start, and I'm going to go with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2.
Submachine guns that you could add thermal scopes to. You could steady it when you look through the scope. It made no sense. It looked really cool. Everyone loves Fitzy's Vector's laser gun. So just an amazing feature that was absolutely useless. So shout out to Infinity Ward. Good job. Making a great game. Thank you.
I appreciate you recalling one of my specialties in that game was the thermal scope. I will correct that it was the mini Uzi because that was the one you could get golden, and I always had big dreams that I would make.
I think I use
someday.
the Vector a lot. I love the Vector.
Yeah.
Next up here, we've got Street Fighter 4.
I could make this a really long answer, but I've done that with every question so far. So I'm just going to say focus attacks because in Street Fighter 5, the difficulty is a lot less to make cool combos starting from light attacks. In Street Fighter 4, you have to be super good to make cool combos starting from light attacks, so I just spam focus attack because it lets you make cool combos. If you know anything about Street Fighter 4, it's a terrible strategy, but I was not that good at the game. Focus attacks, they made me look good at the game.
Oh, Colin, don't say that about yourself. I was there when you won your first game online.
That's why I lost like 20. That started an addiction that continues to this day.
So next up, I want to ask about, and we're going to give you some freedom here. We asked about a very specific Call of Duty. Pick any iteration of Rock Band. Just out of all the Rock Bands, what is your favorite singular feature?
Do you remember when we played the Beatles Rock Band? Corby, you weren't there. You were playing in Metallica. But Fitzy was there. And we had some beautiful harmonies that made me shed a tear on songs like, I Am the Walrus. There were some great memories to be had. So harmonies, great feature by Harmonix.
Tears came to my eyes too when I heard everybody else in the room yelling, "Son, son, son." So that was that I definitely recall shedding a tear that night.
Our next game here, we've got Team Fortress 2.
My favorite feature from Team Fortress 2 is the spy. I like the spy because you can dress up as the other team and mess up their stuff. The fact that you can dress up as the other team and mess up their stuff is ingenious. Good job, Gabe.
Colin, my final game for you here is based on the fact that, as Corby brought up a couple weeks back, you've got a lot of gamer score. What was your favorite feature from CSI Hard Evidence?
Feature.
Feature.
Well, the most amazing... Feature's a strong word. The greatest thing about CSI Hard Evidence is that they had their own lore. There was a band called Bullet Train, and Bullet Train had a song called A Shot Too Many, right? So it was a beautiful tune. It was featured in more than one, because in CSI Hard Evidence, if you remember, it's several cases, but sometimes the same people pop up. It's a small city, whatever it is, Miami. It's a small town. Everyone knows each other, right? Not really, but they're the same people in the cases because they didn't want to hire a lot of voice actors, I guess. And that band shows up more than once, and that song "Shot Too Many." I think they get killed in one of the cases, actually, right? "Shot Too Many," Bullet Train. Look it up on YouTube. I don't think it's on there. Someone needs to upload it. I'm gonna do it right after this.
Well, Colin, in the spirit of that game, I've got nothing else to say to you. Let's move on to the Pick'em recap.
First matchup of the week, we've got Mike versus Fitzy. Fitzy was the victor, and the three of us, Corby, Fitzy, and Coin, all picked Fitzy. I really don't have anything to say here. We knew this outcome before it even started. Mike, why did you spend $30 on Mike Glennon and then drop him? before the week started.
Oh my god. I make a podcast about this league. I should know that. That's real?
Yes.
I didn't hear about this. What?
I could not.
Wow.
It has nothing to do with the matchup.
Oh.
I needed to voice my opinion, my question here.
That totally derails. I mean, here's what I had written. So that changes everything, Corby. We should make the rest of the podcast about that singular transaction. But I feel better, weirdly, about scoring 165 this week than I did scoring 213 last week. It feels less fluky. So, Corby, I'm finally starting to believe in my team as much as you always have.
Love your
thank
team.
you for believing in me. Now, Colin, I gotta ask, what do you think? Is my team closer to number 1, like the standings say, or is it more like number 5, like total points would imply?
Again, I don't want to show my hand here. It might be more like number 6, which is a hot take for the number 1 team in the league, but I'm a man of hot takes.
I don't think it's too hot. I'm starting to believe, for sure. Next up, we had Tyler taking on Adam. Adam gets the win, and we were all on Adam. Yeah, Tyler, you scored the 3rd most in the whole league last week, and Adam sets the new high water mark for points scored this year and puts the whole league on watch.
Yeah, it didn't feel particularly close after Thursday, but you still had a really nice week, even only starting one quarterback. Austin Hooper. You've got to do something. It's really pissing me off. I'm just mad now.
You want to know what's pissing me off? And Colin, we'll get to you in a second. But so Tyler, you got Dalvin back. Your wide receiver scored touchdowns again. This was an impressive score, despite having 3 complete duds in your lineup. I mean, for the love of God, please move on from Jalen Reagor. Not to make this about me, but I felt personally attacked. Because after repeatedly calling out the flex duo of Reagor and Hardman as a weak point, you not only kept Reagor in the lineup, but you kept him in the flex, despite him playing on a Thursday. I feel like this was done as a flex by your team, no pun intended, of course. And on Adam's side, yeah, you should have scored even more, but the NFL wouldn't let Zach Ertz play twice. That's a real shame.
Just continuing on from Tyler's team, which I think is very good. Austin, I don't understand the Austin Hooper thing. It's been weeks. Maybe he's banking on because Jarvis Landry was out. He kept thinking, oh, he's going to go off, It doesn't make any sense. There's better people on the waiver wire. Corby has 3 tight ends who are better. So I absolutely don't understand it. He's someone who you only play in a 2 tight end league.
It's time to make a trade or a move, for sure. Next up on my list here, we had Chris P. taking on Eric. We had Corby and Fitzy both taking Chris. But the coin was right. The coin had Eric. And man, what a letdown for Chris. Kareem Hunt is out now. You got Baker going back to being Badfield. And almost everybody on the team followed their new quarterback's lead. Eric, thanks for showing that stars and scrubs can work. Getting the win with 6 of your guys under 10 points. 4 of them over 20. And only Dalton, son of Mr. Money, Schultz in the middle. Your team will improve.
I had the same thoughts on Dalton Schultz. I looked at him. He's having a nice season so far. He's looking really good. Eric, also, Jonathan Taylor is a god, and I'm so jealous that you own him. He looks like a lot of fun. Chris, Mike Williams looking like the Mike Williams I know and loathe. And, like Fitzy said, Kareem and Baker injuries. Do you have anything?
Yeah, just that I think Chris's team was really good. Maybe we can touch on this later, but Chris's team was really good, I think, to start the year, and I feel like he's made the most trades in the league, and I get that. I'm super trade happy, and I get that you always want to make moves, but I feel like he kind of eviscerated. He had Matt Stafford and Kirk Cousins too. If those are your core quarterbacks, you're really happy. Now he's got Heineke, Mayfield, and Trevor Lawrence. And in a 2-quarterback league, those are your point getters. Those are the guys who are leading the way. They don't need to be your best players, but you need guys, solid guys. Those guys are low upside. So I think he kind of eviscerated his team. And also Hunt he traded for. He ended up getting hurt. Baker got hurt. Metcalf has Geno thrown to him. He traded for him. So I think trades really buried his team, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, everyone dreams of being the person that trades from a paperclip to a pencil all the way up to a house. But you only get that if someone's willing to trade their house for a pencil. So, yeah, somebody had to be a loser in these trades, I guess.
Our next matchup, we've got Chris Colby versus Chris Cloud. Remember, Chris versus Chris Bowl. We've got Chris Cloud being the victor, and all of us picked Chris Colby. Chris, this is your third loss in a row, dude. That's not great. I will say, though, playing T.Y. Hilton was a pretty ballsy move, and it worked out okay, I guess. Too bad you left Gronk in your lineup. Derrick Henry, he's great.
Yeah, and on the flip side there, yeah, Nyheim Hines was indeed terrible, but CD, the TD Lamb, and the double Herbert lineup helped get Cloud the first win in the season's Chris off over Chris Colby. Chris Colby putting Gronk in for the Thursday night flex spot, that's really gotta hurt. Probably hurts more than the Rager pick, huh?
To lose 3 straight with Derrick Henry, you almost have to try kind of to do that. I mean, his luck has been really bad. I just beat him the week before on the Monday Night Miracle from Lamar. So that's tough for Chris, but yeah, I'm sure there's a brighter future ahead. I think he's got a good team.
Next up, Corby versus Colin. Colin gets the dub on the side of the coin, and the two humans both picked Corby. I'll go quick. I'll go first, and I'll hand it over to you guys. The Diaper Bowl was flush with talent, from J.D. McKissick to the Indianapolis D to Cole Beasley. Corby, Colin, the floor is yours.
Yeah, this outcome doesn't surprise me. I had a okay week. I'm not upset about the loss. I'm just kind of shaking it off. I think the reason that Marvin Jones went off is probably because he heard the pod. I really pissed him off.
I'm probably about where you are. Well, not. Yeah, I feel similar. I don't think you should be really that bothered. I think Marvin, Beasley, and McKissick combined for like less than 10 points last week, and this week they combined for like over 60. So it was just a crazy week. I still think your team is better than mine. I'm an arrogant guy with my team. I think my team's great, but I think your team's better. I think you had some bad luck. DJ Moore finally kind of had a bad game. Brady he didn't blow up like he has been. So yeah, I wouldn't even think about it. You had, like you said, you would have beat probably more teams than you would have lost to this week. You had a good week. I needed the win more than you anyway, so thank you.
In our final matchup, we had Brandy versus Taylor, where Brandy finally gets right, and all of us picked Brandy here. Pretty decent week overall, considering you were missing Kamara. That's pretty nice. Nice to see Waddle down the place and a touchdown, I guess. I don't know. That's stupid. I'll cut that. Noah Sharp being a great play. I've noticed that he goes off every other week. So this week, he'll be bad.
Noah Fart going off every other week is the statistical analysis that folks turn into the podcast to hear. So that's good predictive algorithm that you got running there, Corby. My note was pretty darn simple for this one. We made a big deal on last week's pod about who was going to win the Geno lottery. Turns out that was like winning a $5 Keno ticket. Like, not that big a deal at all. Geno did not score the 40 points that it would have taken for Taylor to get a win here. So, Taylor, great conservative move not to pick up Geno Smith. You save your fab for the next great quarterback on the waiver wire, and I think that's a real sage move, if you will. So Brandy, congrats, but not too big a congrats, really. Taylor, you live to bid another day.
I think you're probably giving Taylor a bit too much credit because I'm pretty sure he did bid like $48 on Geno. Adam just happened to bid like $55, both of which was way too much. Obviously, I'm grateful to Taylor for the trade in the beginning of the season. That has worked out great for me and started out really good for him. He's 4-2, but I feel like I know it's old hat to rag on Taylor, but I feel like his team is probably more in the depth than Mike's. I would rather have Mike's team than Taylor's.
You go back, Jack, and do it again. That's the slogan for Taylor's team. Yeah, it seems. So to wrap up the week, we had Fitzy and Corby, who picked all the same teams. Both went 4-2. And you were right, Corby. A coin contrarian play came in, and the coin went 5-1. Gains a game on us, but overall we're staying pretty close here. 23-13, 20-16 for the two of us. And the coin levels itself out to 500. Like a true coin, 18-18.
All right, folks, time for a new segment. Our guest Colin has brought with us his pages from his holy Bible, the Power Rankings. Colin, I don't really know how you want to do this. We didn't talk about this. So if you want to lead for a little while, please go. You have the floor.
I don't need to. Actually, yeah, give me 1 second. It's me, Tush Speedstein here. I'm back from vacation. I was on my honeymoon and then paternity leave. I also got corona. It's been a rough year so for Tush. I'm here to introduce my good friend Coach Fluff, who's going to do the power rankings. Over to you, Fluff. Oh. Thanks, Tush. We're back here for another year. Thanks for coming, and we're going to go through the power ranking. So let's just start. 12 is actually Taylor. You might have been thinking Mike. I guess I gave it away. It's not Mike. Maybe you would have done Mike. I'm not doing Mike. I'm doing Taylor. Taylor is stacked at wide receivers, right? He's got Deontay and Keenan Allen, and he's got, and that's the end of the sentence. That's it, because there's nothing else there. He's got Montgomery and Jacobs. They're okay. Don't want to go too long. There's 12 people here. So Taylor, 12. I'm sorry. You're a good guy. Not poorly constructed. 11 is Mike. I know I was talking his team up a bit. I still put him at 11. I don't think he's got a good team. I just think it's not as dreadful as everyone's making out to be. He's still got, I guess Clyde maybe is on the out a bit. He's probably, even when he comes back, probably won't have a big role. He's got Saquon, I think he's better on paper than he's been on the field, and I think that's going to correct itself, and he's going to get a few wins. Now here's where the coals get hot. Number 10, I'm putting Brandy. And not just because I'm playing Brandy this week, though that might be where your first thought goes, but just because mostly the quarterbacks, right? Tannehill and Darnold, I believe, right? Two solid players. I think they're too low upside in a league where you need your quarterbacks to have a great team. You need them to have the high upside. They need some 30, 40 pointers. Maybe Darnold can do that once CMC comes back. Maybe Tannehill can do that with a healthy receiving core. He doesn't have that. He hasn't had that. But with Derrick Henry there, I think it's just not going to work. Still a good team. I don't think that 10 is exactly fair, but you got to go somewhere. 9, I'm putting Chris Padmode. Like we talked about before, he's been decimated by these injuries and questionable trades. But I still think, it's a solid team. He's got Sterling Shepard. I've been trying to get him from him all year before, when nobody believed in him, because I traded him to him. But I think Chris, he's also, what is he, 2-4? I think he could make playoffs. At 8, I put Chris Cloud. Chris Cloud is like a classically constructed roster. He's almost like a Michelangelo. He's got a good quarterback 1, and then a decent quarterback 2, and it's like that throughout his roster. He's got no weaknesses and no great strengths. I feel like it's just even all around. He's the most mediocre team in the league, which isn't something I would want to say about my team. You want some booming busting, and he's got a decent team. 7 is Eric. Eric's got a really top-heavy team, but not a lot of depth. He's got Corderell, he's got Jonathan Taylor, Henderson, Ridley, he's got McLaurin. But then he's also starting guys like Michael Carter. No offense, Fitzy, but I just don't know if I wouldn't want to start him. Javonte Williams, he's a good player. I think he's going to be good. Maybe he'll, take over. I don't know if I really want to start him, but he's got enough talent at the top to make up for it. 6 is Fitzy. My issue with your team is the running back. Right now you got Chuba, and you're really, that's great, going great. You're not going to have him for much longer. You'll have him, but we'll see if CMC comes back healthy. Obviously, I'm biased. I'm going to say he's going to come back healthy, but I just don't think you've got the depth behind him to make it work. I don't know if Devin Singletary is the answer. He looked good on Monday, I think. He looked better than his numbers show. Number 5, I put Chris Colby.
No. I think it's worth having a small discussion
right.
here, Colin. For
this isn't
years.
Colin. Who's Colin? I don't know who that is.
Sorry, I was just looking at the Zoom window. You're using Colin's Zoom, which confused me. Sorry, Coach.
Yeah, we all live together.
Right.
You've got Damian Harris, Chuba Hubbard, Singletary, Trey Sermon. Trey Sermon's projected for 10 points.
That's what I'm saying. If you look at Adam's team, this is a spoiler for our next segment, of course, but Eli Mitchell is projected for less than a point this week.
Oh, did they
Yahoo
change?
knows something. Yahoo knows something right now.
They just changed that?
They're projecting Trey Sermon to emerge from his cocoon, a beautiful rookie running back who's going to
Dude.
slot in right after Chuba Hubbard is
He's got to
done
emerge
with
from a
his
pile
run.
of manure. That's what he's emerging from. That's a bold prediction that I don't agree with. I think you'll
So,
win this week. You're gonna be
let me
6-1.
let me ask you a question, Coach. Again, yeah, I'm going to go 6-1 off of. I'm facing number
Well,
12.
Wait,
Sorry,
Deshaun Watson's projected for points now?
He's not fucking going anywhere.
He's
not
projected
gonna
for
play.
points.
He's not gonna play.
All right, sorry.
You should tell Colin to switch the algorithm when he gets back on the call here. That doesn't sound right. But yeah, clearly Yahoo knows something that we don't. Trey Sermon is about to go off and catapult me up the rankings. Anyway, sorry to interrupt. Back to number 5.
Number 5, I put Chris Colby. Originally, I did put Fitzy here, but I couldn't do it with those running backs. How many passes are those going to catch between them? Like maybe 2 a week? Actually, Devin
We're on to Chris Colby. Get off of me, all right?
He's got Derrick Henry. That's it. That's the end. He's got Derrick Henry. He's got the number 1 player. He's got a fine team around him. He's got Jamar Chase. He's been awesome. I don't know anyone who was into Jamar Chase. He got terrible reports coming into the year. But Chris believed in him. I believe in Chris. Number 5, that's a solid position. Number 4, I put Colin. Like we were saying earlier, the quadfecta, or I guess trifecta. McKissick really isn't. I mean, he's fine, but Swift, Eckler, McCaffrey, that's some top notch. I love it. So, I mean, obviously a little biased, but I think Corby brought it up a week or two ago about punting the wide receiver position, obviously. And I agree with him that, I mean, it's already hurt me several weeks now, but I still believe once Michael Thomas hopefully comes back, I think it'll turn things around. Oh, if he comes back. Number 3, I put Cash, Tyler. I think, what is he, 3-3, I believe? I think he's got an underrated team. It's been underperforming. If he could just get rid of Hooper, like we were saying, I think it could skyrocket his team. He's hurting morale. Everyone's bummed out to be next to that like 2 point a week guy. They're like, oh, I gotta look at me, It's not like the pretty girl at the bar next to the ugly girl or something, looking all pretty. He's bringing the whole room down, Yeah, Coach Fluff is on a sexist streak, by the way. He's not like Colin. He's a good guy. Coach Fluff, he's too old for that feminist. So
Coach Fluff is the reason why the whole studio got canceled.
Fluff,
yeah, we canceled Coach Fluff. I have to ask Coach right here. You mentioned the tight end. What do you think about the flex spot on that team?
Oh, my projections are all messed up. I mean, specifically to that, I look at McCall Hardman and I'm like, oh, that's disgusting. But then I look at his stats and he's having an okay year. So I'm fine with that. He's like his low end flex. He's honestly doing fine. So, and he's got Darrell Williams and Dearness Johnson this week. For the long term, it is a worry. He doesn't have a super deep team. But he's got a lot of guys on bye this week that are he's got Cook and Thielen. I guess that's it really. And he's got Judy coming back eventually. So right now his team might not be that deep. True. I think he's got an awesome team. Jameis Winston is quarterback too. That's the main question mark. But once Michael Thomas comes back, hopefully it'll buoy him a bit. Is that it? Buoy. So number 2, I put Corby, our good friend Corby here. And not just because I feel bad about beating him last week, because he's got a solid team. He's got 3 tight ends in a 1 tight end league, and they're all pretty solid. He got the bargain quarterbacks with that weird trade from Chris Patnode. He got Matt Stafford, and he also has Tom Brady. If there's one thing I like almost as much as pass catching running backs, it's top-notch quarterbacks in a 2 quarterback league. And he's got Tom Brady and Matt Stafford. That's a dream. So love that team. Great wide receivers. He's got Najee Harris and Aaron Jones. They're going to catch passes, especially Najee Harris. So I can't not like this team. And then number 1, yeah, it's Adam. So Adam's 2-4. This might be a bit of a hot take, but I think we can all agree Adam's team. He just set the like Fitzy was saying, he set the record for the league this year for points scored. As long as Fournette stays atop that depth chart at the running back spot, Adam's team is kind of incredible. He's got Allen and Prescott. He's got great players at every position. He is silver rank, so he went down to silver. So I do question his confidence after that. He might make some desperation moves. Number 1, Adam, congratulations. I hate to admit it because I loathe no one in fantasy more than Adam. He shows no humility, a total lack of emotional intelligence, deficient in that area, absolutely, but a good fantasy player.
First of
Bill,
all, I would
go
like
ahead.
to correct Bill on the way out. He does look silver. It is platinum.
Oh, he went up?
He's sitting at 805 as of
I just
today.
saw
So
the
just
color.
barely platinum, but he is platinum.
God, I hate Adam. I'm not
And-
Bill. Bill. Someone say my name? Oh, I guess I'm not needed. I'm Coach Fluff.
Sorry
Sorry.
about that, Coach. My bad, Coach. We all make mistakes, I think, is the lesson we've learned here.
You're right.
Uh,
Sorry, Adam.
This doesn't need to be part of the pot. Did I also hear you quote one of the guys from last season's The Bachelorette when you said you are deficient in emotional intelligence?
Oh, did you watch? Oh, that's right. You watched it. Yeah, Bennett. Bennett talking to Noah. Totally disrespectful. Bennett, I think, was a terrible person. For some reason, the fandom was just totally loved him. I don't, not all of them, but like he was funny. Oh, he's the funny, like rich guy who went to Harvard. They thought he was charming. I thought it was disgusting. He was a terrible. He lacked emotional intelligence. And then I watched Paradise, and Noah was charming and absolutely delightful. He got with Abigail, the deaf girl.
Coach, thank you so much for another incredible power rankings.
Anytime. I'm sure I'll be back sometime later in the season to wrap things up for one last ranking.
Love it.
Can the low-standing teams climb the rankings? Can the Squids win the games? Let's find out in this week's breakdown. Number 1, we've got Chris P versus Adam. Chris, this is looking pretty grim. You've got one quarterback this week. Not great. Adam, I'm going to pick you because Chris's team is pretty much entirely dead.
So yeah, in this one we got the battle of 2 and 4 teams, and Colin, I think you were right. It's crazy how my former favorite team has fallen. I've been touting his depth for a while, but Chris, your depth is needed here. You're starting bad QBs. You've got the running backs on IR, and I think your team is about to get reaped. Adam, Leonard Fournette is going off. I still believe in Allen Robinson. I think the Grim Reaper claims another soul this week.
Adam was ranked number 1. Chris was ranked, 9? So I think it speaks for itself, kind of. He's starting Mike Davis. I was more than happy to get rid of him. Mike Davis is a blight on my team. I think he's a blight on this team. He's clearly infected the rest of the team. Get rid of Mike Davis.
And finally, welcome back, the coin.
The coin is taking Chris P this week.
Bold move.
Next up, I've got Chris Cloud taking on you, Corby. Corby, you've got 2 good quarterbacks. Chris, apparently you have 0 good quarterbacks this week. Justin Herbert on bye and Mac Jones projected for 0? I don't know if Yahoo knows something I don't, or if they really just believe in the Jets defense that much. But I, even though Mac is going to score some points here, I cannot believe that his team's going to rise up to the challenge and take you down. You've got a tough one. You've got a lot of buys going on. 2 of your tight ends on bye. All of a sudden it comes together and people realize why you've got Evan Ingram on the team. It's so that you can pull off the win this week, Corby. You've got this one.
That's exactly right. He'll be gone after this week.
Pick him up. Pick him up,
No.
Cash. Pick
I
up
fucking
Evan Ingram.
hate Evan Ingram. I hate that. I fucking hate him. Oh my God. Okay. Anyways. Yeah, I'm not too concerned about this week. I'm the lucky person who gets to reap the benefits of Chris Cloud, like all of his players being on bye. So I'm picking me pretty much mostly only for that reason. Colin?
Pick up Evan Ingram, Cash. Pick him up when he drops him. You know he's going to get targets. He's going to get a few targets. He's going to get 5 or 6 targets. Austin Hooper's, you might not get none. So just get Evan Ingram when he drops him. Yeah, Corby's going to demolish him.
And the coin wants Chris Cloud. Sorry, Corby, you're getting faded by the coin here. Colin, speaking of Tyler needing to pick up a tight end, let's kick there next, where Tyler is taking on Chris. One of these teams is about to go through the unenviable position of starting 3-0 and losing 4 in a row. We've got 2 teams on very similar trajectories facing off here. And this could be one of those hinge points of history type of games where one of these teams makes it into the playoffs and they can point to this week as the reason why. And the other team Well, the other team has Damian Williams out on the COVID list. So I'm picking Chris Colby to get things right this week. Sorry, Tyler.
Chris Colby versus Tyler. The battle of the 3-game losing streaks. Pat Mahomes versus Kyler Murray. Something's got to give. Remember to Ernest Johnson? Next week we won't. I'm taking Chris, baby.
This one it really looks like a toss-up to me. I'm gonna go with Tyler just because I believe in his flex spots more than the lack of depth on Chris Colby's team. Again, I rank Cash above Chris in the power rankings, so I believe in my rankings, and I believe Cash has the better team this week. He will win.
Speaking of Cash in Tyler's favor, the coin is picking him this week.
Our next matchup, we've got Fitzy versus Taylor, the battle of the two palest people I know. What is the equivalent to a premeditated murder in terms of fantasy football? Tonight we're going to find out because that's what we're about to talk about. Taylor, may God have mercy on your soul. I'm taking Fitzy.
So, Colin, you called us pretty awful names that I won't repeat here, but you called us these things because we always picked ourselves to win matchups in the past. So I want to kick this one to you first. Who would you take in this position?
Okay, obviously this is a special case where you're playing Taylor, whose one quarterback is Jared Goff. So he's got a bunch. I mean, he hasn't even looked like he's changed his lineup. So obviously I'm going to pick Fitzy because it looks like Taylor's already given up, despite being 4-2. I know it's only. I mean, at the time of recording, it's only Wednesday, but I just don't.
Yeah. I always try to set my lineup as soon as possible to scare my opponent.
I've already set my lineup for the whole year.
Dude, me too.
It's the first thing I do after the draft. Is I'm like, all right, I'm going to own this guy. He hasn't even set his lineup in week 12. I'm going to destroy him.
This is why you're always projected to beat everybody?
Oh, that's why I'm always projected after the draft to be the best.
Oh man, I'm not quite there. I try to take things week by week. First, blindly picking is the coin, and I feel bad for the coin on this one because the coin is picking Taylor.
Never know.
On my end, I'm not so much picking me, but yeah, I'm picking against Taylor. Taylor still in 4th place in the league, but you scored the second least last week. You've got the second least points in the year, and my apparently unbeatable, very middling squad is going to get it done for the 5th straight week. Yeah. So speaking of the team with the second least points, we come to our friend, Mike B, as in Mike Bimpus Bumpus, taking on Eric. Now, during our last guest interview, I asked Brandy if it was time for Eric to press the panic button. Well, since then, he has pushed the launch button. If he can pull this one off, he'll go from 0-3 to 4-3 in a month. Colin, I gotta ask you, is this sustainable for Eric's squad?
Absolutely not. His quarterbacks are David Carr and Teddy Bridgewater, who are two solid players, but I mean, I've said it at length. I want the high upside. At Roethlisberger also, it was the same deal. These low upside quarterbacks who don't have the weapons or talent to get higher scores. David Carr, he's had some good weeks to start the year.
His name is Derek Carr.
Wait, what did I say?
David.
I still like Eric's team. He's got Cordarrelle Patterson, who's awesome. He catches a lot of passes. He has dual eligibility. That's awesome. Henderson's awesome. Like I said, he's got a top-heavy team. I will take him in this matchup. I don't know who Mike's starting at quarterback between Wilson and Daniel Jones, but there are teams that Mike can beat on certain weeks, and this is not one of them.
Yeah, I agree. This is a great battle. You know, this is the battle of the two Guitar Hero greats. You know, a lot of hot competition between those two. From the way it seems right now, Mike is going to start Zach Wilson
against the Patriots.
I'm going to take Eric here. See, Pat is back and he's ready to cause a ruckus. It's going to be great.
Am I going to regret this? Am I crazy? I think Mike's team is actually poised to go on a run starting this week, and I'm hopping on the bandwagon early. Give me Mike, and through the fire and the flames, the coin is with me. Next up, I've got, and this is our final matchup here, Brandy, first guest, taking on Colin. So I'll start. I'll make it quick. Again, want to give the floor to you. But Brandy, owner of the X-Miles, I want to believe. And I'm rolling with you over Colin this week.
Brandy versus Colin. We've got a bronze battle on our hands. Oh my god, dude. Colin, I don't think you can win this one. Brandy, you've got Kamara. He's back. Colin, you've got Miles Sanders. He's yucky.
He's bad.
He's yucky.
I certainly think I can win this game. I mean, do I think I will? No, I think Brandy will beat me. I've got too many players on bye, namely Kirk Cousins, which means I have to play David Mills. Pretty much an automatic L. I'll be happy if he gets positive points. But I think I have enough of a ceiling to possibly win if the Eagles actually use Miles Sanders, which I know is a huge monumental if, but if I think that I could pull off a victory, I'm going to pick Brandy because Brandy's going to win by default, so I will win by a miracle.
The coin is picking our current guest, Colin.
All right, well, that wraps up our week's breakdown. Let's hop on into the mailbag where we will see what food are you. Adam 1 starts off with a winky face, perhaps playing coy with us.
That's right. And Adam 2 gets in pretty quickly and sets the record straight. And this is how I am now convinced that Adam 2 is the real Adam. He says, if my team was edible, it would be candy food. Only Adam would say that. Next up, we've got a couple of comments here from a man of multiple names. Dewey Boyman starts in. Colin, would you care to read what Dewey Boyman had to read for us?
Well, Dewey Boyman wrote, Adam the Force is just a fake persona manufactured by Adam to distract us from his yucky, dirty team. And if my team was a food, it would be pineapples because they are very pointy and my team scores lots of points. Just a classic bit of comedy there. I give that one 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I was going to give that one about a 9. I thought that one was really good.
I decided not to rate it this week. I abstain.
Next, we've got Chris Colby. He writes in and says, crinkle cut fries because sometimes they're really good and other times they suck, but overall not great. Chris, I'm going to give this one a 10. I think that this is a great example.
I actually really agree with this one. It's a 10, not just in creativity, but also in reality. You know, I'm going to also say I think crinkle cut French fries are kind of underrated. And I think I'm still believing in your team as well, despite the slide you've taken here.
I respect anyone who can come up with a good analogy on the spot. So, Chris Colby, you just went up 3 rankings. You're now number 2. Sorry, Corby. Move over. It's Chris Colby's turn.
And finally, not Dewey Boyman this time. We had Colin Swords taking off the mask. Colin, take it away.
Right. Like you said, I was taking off the mask because I really wanted to confront the person who was directed towards. I said my team would be a burger because Corby's going to buy me a burger after this year. Me and Corby are in a few leagues together, and we have decided that whoever beats the other person more times is going to buy him a meal at Red Robin. We do this most years. And so I'm confident in my teams. And Corby will be buying me a Royal Red Robin with a big fried egg in the middle.
For those unaware, one year, Colin and I made a bet that Antonio Brown would play a snap for the Oakland Raiders. The next day, Antonio Brown was released by the Oakland Raiders.
In my defense, if they hadn't released him by that point, I thought they would never release him. Everything that he had done told me that there was nothing he could do. He could, like Donald Trump said, he could shoot someone in the middle of the street and nobody would care. So, I obviously in hindsight I regret it, but at the time I thought it was perfectly rational. There was no commentary there. It was just if you guys are pro Trump, that's cool. There was no commentary. It was just saying he said a thing, you know. Are you guys there?
I don't know how to segue into this segment.
It's time for the bets of the week.
So last week we had a bet between who's going to score the most fantasy points between Jonathan Taylor and y'all heard on the podcast, Austin Eckler. In reality, the bet was actually Christian McCaffrey, but he was ruled out before the game started, but also before we released the pod. So I changed it from Christian McCaffrey to Austin Eckler. Corby, you won that one. And I think the real question is, Why didn't I pick Derrick Henry?
That is the question.
I could have picked any running back. Like you said, Colin, it's like not catching a pass.
He's got a low floor when you don't catch passes. But it's Derrick Henry, so he gets a high floor because he gets 30 carries a game.
His floor is on the third story. And our next bet, we had a bet that said somebody dropped last week on waivers would cost money when they were picked up. Fitzy said no, and Fitzy won. And in fact, nobody was picked up that was dropped last week.
Yeah, just a very efficient market here in the Why Do Boys Play Games League. I was happy to see that. In our next bet, and again, this is one of the ones that was decided by the time the pod came out, but it was the one I was the most invested in. It was the GOAT taking on Jalen Hurts. And I won behind another 100-yard passing yards from the Runny Badger, as he scored another, I think, 2 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
He's unstoppable.
Yeah, he's good in fantasy. He's terrible in real NFL.
Gardner Minshew, his time is coming.
Yeah,
He's going to be starting, and then Miles Sanders will finally break out.
Our last bet, we had games going into overtime on the Sunday, Monday games. I said no, Fitzy said yes, and there were like 3 of them. So another week of free football. Thank you very much, Scott Hansen.
I have so many bets that I would really like to make going into this week. I almost want to double down on that one. I want to take the opposite side. I want to say there will be no overtime games Sunday or Monday.
I think there will.
All right, we got an easy first one in. That one wasn't even planned.
Now, I was ill-prepared, and I didn't bring a single bet of the week. But I know that you have one, so why don't we hear your bet of the week?
So, I try not to talk about other leagues on this podcast. Corby, we played each other in the Discord League last week. We're playing each other in the 2 tight end league this week. But I'm not even going to talk about football, Corby. We are playing each other currently in fantasy basketball.
Oh, shit. Forgot.
Quick, fun little stat for you on this one. When you look at our teams, because it's Roto, it's not like just one player equals one start, right?
Yep.
You are absolutely lapping me in terms of number of players that are going to play this week. I think by like 15 or 20 total players. Doesn't matter. Corby, I'm going to beat you at least 5-4.
No, you won't. I think I'm going to win.
I knew you'd take this one.
I'll take the bet.
Your folly never ends.
Oh, you do
Corby's
have
currently winning 7-1. I've got one last bet.
Okay.
I don't like to leave the guest out on this segment. Colin, first I want to ask, are you comfortable making a $5 bet, or would you like to make it food or activity-based?
Give me the whole cornucopia. There's gonna be food, there's gonna be money, there's gonna be, what was the last thing? Activity.
You seem to believe in Mike McConowitz's team, and I do too. I want to set the over-under. Total wins for his team for the rest of the year.
You're gonna take the over on 3.5.
Yes,
Yeah, I'm comfortable taking the under.
Absolutely.
Just to clarify, wait, what are we betting? We can bet $5 if you want.
Let's bet $5. I was thinking about...
It's a gentleman's bet.
Yeah, the gentleman's. Again, I want to make it clear, like you said, we're not playing the game for financial gain. We're playing the game...
It's just like the league. It's just like fantasy football.
Exactly.
You play to win.
The game. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better myself.
As we continue to live the gaming mantra, before we head out, Colin, I want to thank you again for being a guest on the pod. If there's anything you'd like to say in terms of a shout out or a plug or anything, the floor is now yours.
First, I just want to thank you. It's an understatement to call it an honor to be here. I would do this every week for the rest of my life if I could. I just don't have the time and resources. My stamina's low. I need to go eat an energy bar. I suggest that everybody, I will make a comment when at the bottom of this video on my Colin Swords account. We had a school project. I made a little video. I suggest everyone, that's what I'm going to plug. Everyone go down to the comments and leave what you think below about my video. When you click my name, it's going to be there. So that's what I'm going to plug. I'm not going to tell you what it is. Just go and check it out. It's like 3 minutes long. It's 3.5, 4, short video. Interactive digital storytelling. which sounds cool, but it's not interactive. It's not digital. It's just it is digital and it's on the computer. But go check out my video. That's what I'm plugging. There are no short answers from me today.
We wouldn't expect any, and that's great. Great that you lived up to it, Colin. One more thing here before we start the outro up. Am I right to say, on the subject of comments, that you have the question of the week for our audience?
That's right. I'm back. This used to be a great feature in the old power rankings. Ye old power rankings before the podcast was invented. The question of the week this week. It's an oldie but a goodie. Maybe your answers have changed. A lot of the world has changed. I want to know, what historic figure in history, thus the word historic, would you like to most meet and speak to? Maybe have a dinner. Maybe go to the park. Who would you want to interact with? I know my answer. Why don't you leave yours below?
And while you're down there, why don't you smash that fucking like button and chime that bell as well. As always, thank you very much for listening to the Why Do Boys Make podcast. I'm Corby.
I'm Fitzy.
And I'm Colin.
Gamers, game on!